A lot of concern about where the police chief stands. He texted me and we spoke just a few minutes ago, I guess you heard, that he's not going to move to 12-hour shifts if the majority of officers don't want it. You heard that from him? Officers heard that from him directly yesterday, right?
No, I was in a civil service meeting, but my executive board member was in the meeting, and I also have another lieutenant that told me, what was said in the meeting. He assured them that all along his position has been, if the majority of the officers do not want to go to 12-hour shifts, then we won't do it. Well, that's great news, because out of 192 patrol officers, almost 180 have signed the petition of no. So that means this whole issue should be resolved. It should be done. But in the meantime, there's still a bill, House Bill 121 in Baton Rouge, that's going forward. So that's very confusing to the members. And with all due respect to the chief, you're telling us that if the majority doesn't want it, and now they've told you to your face, they've signed a petition, you have the right to contact anybody on that petition. You know them all. They all work for you. You can call them and say, hey, did you sign this? Why are we still going forward? In the same amount of time, yesterday, Representative Alan Seaball, he got on your show and said, well, you know what? We don't even have to have this bill. They're going to go to 12-hour shifts even if we don't do it. Okay, great. Then be fiduciary responsible to your House district and pull the bill, because you're wasting taxpayers' time. You're wasting their money by pushing legislation that doesn't matter, and you've now admitted it.
You heard the chief, Michael, say that some of the officers signed the petition and now saying they really wish they hadn't. Are there a lot of those?
I think a lot of that is they never expected this to go so viral and so public. Police officers, they get nervous because they sign petitions and they do it in the moment, knowing exactly what they're doing. But then they're like, okay, wait, am I going to get retaliated against for this? There's a very strong concern for retaliation in the police department that's been a part of our culture for many years now, and I wish that some leader would come along someday and say, stop, we're not doing this anymore. But until that happens, that is a part of our culture in that organization, and it can't be denied. People lose their days off, their shift, they get moved, they get transferred. That affects their life, their personal life, based on their political stance or their personal stance against something that the chief wants. Now, if the chief truly says...
Excuse me, Lieutenant Carr, I don't want to get way off track here, but did you just say that the current chief does stuff like that?
I said that all chiefs do stuff like that.
All chiefs do stuff like that.
Every chief I've ever known has used his power of transfer, even recently, to handle what he thinks is to be a problem whenever by law. And on every civil service test you'll ever take, it says that you don't transfer a problem. So with that in the minds of the police officers, they get worried whenever their names start going public, they start getting exposed. I don't know why anybody would think a petition is private, but at the same time, that's why I don't run petitions. This petition was not ran by SPOA. This petition was ran by Lieutenant Kelly.
Back to the chief for just a second. The impression I got from overhearing his conversation with Aaron just before the top of the hour, and some of the notes she jotted down, was that he wanted the whatever time there is between now and the time, and he said it could be quite a while, a year or so, before a final decision is made. He said he kind of wants, my impression was he kind of wants to use that time to conduct his own PR campaign to convince the SPD rank and file that 12 hours is a good idea. Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, we've been doing that for 18 months. That's already, the vetting has already been done. That's why I'm getting misquoted from a personal opinion, and they're trying to twist it into, well, SPOA was for 12. The SPOA was never for 12-hour shifts. I tried to mitigate. I tried to listen to him. I tried to talk to my constituents and the people that elect me, and finally they just come to a head and they said no. We said no and stop. So that's why the attempt is to say, well, just in January Carter wanted it. No, I don't like 12-hour shifts. I like the time off that rotates with it. So I'm entitled to my personal opinion, and I tried to help mitigate because, like Seaball said yesterday on the radio, you don't have to have a law to do it. So I was trying to help my members in starting down that road, because the mind thought that I'm gathering from this chief of police is we're going to 12s. I just don't know when. And we're against it.
Michael, let me ask you this. I got another text this morning from another officer who said if we move to 12-hour shifts, we could lose as many as 50 officers almost immediately. Is that a concern?
I've had more than 50 officers tell me nose to nose, face to face, if we go to 12s, I've got to go. And it's multiple reasons. Some of it's a child custody issue. Some of it is it throws their entire family out of whack. Some of it is their wife makes more money than they do, which doesn't take much, and it would throw her career into dispel. They might end up becoming a home dad, a house husband, rather than being inconveniencing the entire family with a rotating shift. There's a lot of different reasons, but every one of them come to me. But listen, this is one of the best reasons I heard so far. Mm-hmm. What I found was a majority of my African American members are very viral. They're very against this. And I said, okay. So I sat down with at least 3-4 of them, and I said, listen, can you just shoot me straight? They said, Michael, we don't have the resources in our community for child care and rotation of shifts. We've got to have some kind of stability. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That was just as legitimate and just as plain spoken. And you got to respect that. Any leader that's going to honestly look at going to a 12-hour shift, they need to be having those conversations inside intimately like I did. So this is what got my personal opinion absolutely slam chopped, dice, it's gone. Okay?
Gotcha.
SPOA signed a petition that's outside of the union. It's outside of SPU. It's outside of SPOA. 180 almost people signed this. Now, if 50 people quit, that's more than 10% of your department. Your total force currently is gone. One day, they're gone. Whatever day they leave, that's it. They just start falling off. You're already at 105 down. We hired one back. That's 104. You're already at almost 20% down. You go to 30% down. Look at your crime rate on the streets right now. Mm-hmm. Look at your crime rate on the street. Do you think we can handle another 10% down?
Gotcha.
The answer to that is no. So you have to look at the totality of the circumstances. And I would say this to Alan Seaball. There's no shame in pulling this bill. If you say that we don't need the bill to go to 12s, if you say that we're going to 12s anyway, why are you involved? With all due respect, Representative Seaball, pull your bill. There's no shame in pulling a bill. We'll thank you for it. Let us have this argument. Let us engage this battle inside of our own organization where it should have stayed to start with. Now, one last thing. When the chief says that he doesn't want to go to it if the majority doesn't want it, but I'm still asking for this law to be passed, that raises a lot of suspicion, okay? Mm-hmm. It's like when we tell somebody, hey, take your hands out from behind your back. Why? I ain't got no gun. Well, then take your hand out behind your back. No, I'm not going to do it. We're not letting our guard down.
Gotcha.
We're not letting our guard down. We're not going to trust you fully until you start making moves that seem more transparent and they seem more open towards the dialogue that we're trying to get to. 180 people said no. There's 192 people on patrol. I don't know what part of majority. I don't know what number it takes to get the majority on that aspect. I think that you're almost at 100%.